Welcome back to Shop Cars with us, the sixth episode, and it's on electric cars, EVs. We have covered three popular cars. We have covered two different types of valuation methods. The second thing we did was I spoke to a few second-hand dealers just to understand their pitch. We spoke to Blue Smart drivers. Let's get into valuing this car, Siddhant. How do you want to do it?
We have divided the car itself into two basic parts.
Let's price it like an ICE car. Now, you subtract the present value of, I feel like we're becoming car evaluators. Like, it's like how people value stocks. We are finding new discounted cash flow method of valuing a car. That's exactly what we've done, by the way.
Given how much complication we've dealt with in this episode
Yeah, I feel like I took the DCF class in ISB too seriously. Welcome back to Shop Cars with us, the sixth episode, and it's on electric cars, EVs. Ever since we started this series, there have been so many comments on EVs, and both Siddhant and I have been ignoring them. We're like, no, we don't want to do EVs, And to be honest with you, the reason is that they are just so hard to value.
Our apprehension has been rightfully held up.
Yeah, because there is like a lot of variables in an EV which we still don't know. We don't know the government policies. We don't know how the battery holds up after a few years. We don't know how much the range deteriorates as the battery gets older, the battery warranty. And so a lot of different things need to be valued as you're valuing a EV car. The good news, however, for you is that we worked on this. We have finally arrived at what we think is a workable solution on giving you a way to value EV cars. It is different from a petrol and a diesel car from the ICE engine. And so we are excited to share that with you. Siddhant, welcome back. I went on a little bit of a monologue, but anything you want to, what are you most excited about? What cars are we covering today?
I'll come to the cars, but I think what I'm excited about the fact is we figured out something. I'm not going to say we've nailed it, but we figured something. Now let's get inputs, let's get comments on this, and then we'll build it out further. Cars we'll cover are fairly easy, thankfully. There's the entire Tata range. So you have the Nexon, the Tigor, the Tiago, all of those, because that's been the most popular one. And then the the ZS EV also did decently well. So we'll do that one. And then the not so successful ones, the XUV400, the couple of BYD E6, Atto, whatever they launched in the market. If we can find a couple of luxury ones like the XC40 Recharge or a Porsche Taycan or something like that, why not? But I think the mass market will be largely Tata.
Yeah. And the funny story is we sat down to record this episode multiple times, but every time we started recording, we'd be like, oh, we haven't accounted for this. Oh, we haven't accounted for that. Because
new piece of information.
EVs is just so complex right now. There's too many moving pieces, too many variables.
And so much of it is just unknown.
Correct. What we did do, however, was the research. So what we did was we spoke to Blue Smart drivers. Because Blue Smart drivers know how the battery holds up the best, right?
I think if there's anyone who's an expert in this country today on EVs, it has to be them.
Yeah, so Blue Smart drivers is something we did. In areas where there is no Blue Smart is this EV cab service, which is in the Delhi, Bangalore, Bombay, a few metros. For those of you not watching them, you should know that they only run EV Tata Tigor EVs. So they know these cars really well. The second thing we did was I spoke to a few second-hand dealers to see how are they trying to sell me a Nexon EV, just to understand their pitch. We also called the Tata showroom. Tried to understand from them how much does a new battery cost. We did not get a straight answer. And so that's why we're saying that all of these caveats aside, I think it's interesting. It's definitely something which is worth a discussion. And so we're going to cover it today. Also, coincidentally, it's also the day when Tesla has launched a facelift on Model Y, which I think is stunning. So it's only opportune that we...
It was already a good looking car. I genuinely did not think you could improve on it, but I think they've done a good job.
I love it. We'll also, towards the end of this episode, beyond Shop Cars with us, a lot of people have asked us, what do we think about the Mahindra new line of BE6s and all of that? They've also announced their pricing yesterday, so we'll cover that. And we'll also share our thoughts on MG Windsor. So lots to unpack, lots to cover. Let's dive in. So before we begin, I wanted to quickly share that we are now a part of Zerodha's media network, the 01 network. You can see the website in the description below.
So I think in terms of states or cities, Pranay, we'll keep this one simple. We'll go with Delhi because Udhar, I know the policy, and I think that's the only one that's been fairly consistent and easy to unpack. Even Haryana, for that matter, I think had something like subsidies for the first 1,000 cars, and it went away, and now I don't know what the policy is, and so on and so forth. So we'll stick to Delhi, and I think we can start with the Nexon, which I think might just be the most popular EV, at least in the mass segment. So came very close to actually seriously purchasing this when I was in the market for a car last. This one was for my parents, so we came close to considering it, but for obvious reasons that I'll come to later, my apprehension about EVs in general, too many unknowns, we didn't end up deciding on an EV.
Yeah. Let me pull up the screen and let's go through some of the Nexon EVs that we see in Delhi. Look at this beautifully like shiny tire. This is the dealer who has cleaned it up. Like look at how clean the wheels are.
Detailing, yes sir, detailing.
This is full. The dealer has done a good job. Okay, I think the car is in a good shape. Looks pretty good. Nothing, no concerns as such. 22,000 kilometers. First owner, 2022. Nothing major that stands out. The price is 11,90,000. Let's get into valuing this car, Siddhant. How do you want to do it?
We have divided the car itself into two basic parts. One is the battery, because for two reasons. One, it's a big part of the cost itself. So I feel it should be depreciated separately, and the life of it is very different from the from the life of the rest of the car. So which is why we're looking at the battery separately, and we're looking at one minus battery, which we're calling the shell, separately.
What that means is that the battery has a life of 8 years. Why 8 years? Because warranty is for 8 years. Even though it might last you longer than 8 years, the assumption that we are going here with is that as you have seen with electronics, the range starts to reduce. We have also spoken to Blue Smart drivers who are also confirmed this, that over a period of time, the range of these cars goes down drastically. So even if you were to run this car for like, say, from an 8 to a 10 year to 12 year, your range will be so low that you'll be like, hey, I'm better off like just buying a new battery or investing in a new car. So you will have to change the battery at some point. We have assumed that you're going to change it after 8 years. You can change that assumption as you like, but that's one big part of how you're going to be valuing this car, which is the life of the battery is 8 years.
Right. Battery is 8 years. And the second part, which is the shell of the car, we're keeping at 15 years. Now here we're going by what best we know, which is petrol cars can go up to 15 years in Delhi NCR. Theoretically, it is very well possible that this range gets extended at some point in the future. We don't know yet. So can you drive this car for 20, 25 years later? Sure. But we don't know that. So which is why we are keeping that life at 15 years right now.
Yeah. So two assumptions, just to summarize: life of the battery 8 years, life of the rest of the car 15 years. And we're going to value this car basis those two assumptions.
And there's a third element which we'll add overall, which is the ownership serial, which we've also done to all petrol and diesel cars, which is given on how many number of owners of the car has gone through, you keep adding a certain percent of depreciation on the overall value of the car. So these three parts will factor into what we believe is a fair price for the car.
Yeah. So let's jump in. This car is a XZ Plus Dark Edition. What is the price of this car? Let's look. Let me pull it up. Okay, I've found it. So this car was launched in India at 15.99 lakhs. Okay, this is the XZ Plus variant. Siddhant, what was the registration like? How would you?
This is where Delhi has been a dream, by the way. Even if you go to any of the websites today to check on-road prices of new EVs, Delhi has practically no road tax, zero road tax, and practically no registration charges. It's a very nominal 4,000-5,000 rupee amount in a case like this. Even for a ZS EV, which is a slightly higher price, it's like 7,000-8,000 at best. So for this car, which is 16 lakh ex showroom, there would have been an insurance element, which would have been at most 50,000-60,000 rupees, and a 4,000-5,000 rupee registration charge. So this would have been close to in the neighborhood of 16.5 lakhs on road.
Yeah. So let's assume 16.5 lakh rupees for the cost of the new car,
which is the cost of the battery, which is a black hole because nobody knows that number, and the people who may know that number aren't willing to give you the number.
Correct. So the battery, we have done some research. It looks like it's about 7 lakh rupees.
In the case of Tata, at least.
At least in the case of this Tata battery, it looks like it's somewhere in the ballpark of 7 lakh rupees. You can reduce it to 6 lakhs, 5 lakhs, whatever. I don't know. We are going to assume with 7 lakhs because that's what we can find right now.
And also logically, I think it makes sense because mechanically there's not too many components in this car. So for a car that you're selling for 16 lakhs, makes sense. The battery that is the biggest component costs, close to half the value of the car.
Yeah. Which is also the worrying part, right? That if the battery loses its value, then you basically with a structure like a metal shell What do you
Yeah.
do inside? Sleep. It's not a 2 BHK that you've kept, right? So you need that
Right.
battery. So okay, let's jump into it then.
So key assumptions were battery life 8 years, the rest of the car shell 15 years. And yeah, that's what we have so far. So this car is, for example, 3 years old. We know the price was 16.5 lakhs. The battery price is 7 lakhs. So the rest of the shell is 9.5 lakhs. Those are the figures. So I will depreciate the battery by 3 by 8, which is 37.5%. That will be the amount of depreciation charged on the 7 lakh battery cost. That gives us roughly 2 lakh 60 odd will be the number, right?
Yeah.
The second part, now let's come to the shell. The shell is worth 9.5 lakhs. We've assumed a 15-year life and the car is again 3 years old. So 3 by 15, which is 20% of that shell, I will depreciate. So on a 9.5 lakh value, that becomes 1.9 lakhs of additional depreciation. Last, I want to come to the ownership. Given this is a first owner car, typically we used to take 10% roughly in the case of petrol or diesel cars. Given we are already depreciating the shell and the battery separately, let's reduce that a little. So let's add 7.5% roughly per ownership change. So if it's a second owner car, I'll add 15%. If it's third owner, I'll add 22.5%. But given this is a first owner, I'll add another 7.5% on the overall value of the car, which is 16.5 lakhs. So roughly 1,25,000, I'll add further to the depreciation. So to summarize, we have 2.6 lakhs for the battery, 1.9 lakhs for the shell of the car, and another 1,25,000 odd for the overall ownership transfer of the car. That gives us roughly about 5,75,000 of total depreciation that we want to apply to this car to come at a fair price. So that gives us, I think, subtracting depreciation, we come to 10,75,000 ballpark at the fair price of this car.
That is a new approach to valuing an EV car.
Yeah.
We tried to, because Siddhant earlier had done the similar ICE engine mechanism, but I was not comfortable because I was like, we know that these batteries need to be replaced at some point, and you cannot assume that for 15 years you'll be able to run this car the same way. And therefore, then we included this new factor of we're going to depreciate the battery separately and we're going to separate out the battery from the rest of the car.
I would be happy to be proven wrong and, magically these batteries retain their life, but I highly doubt it.
Yeah. But the other good part is that if you are able to actually factor in the battery cost, then you are hopefully okay to run these cars. At some point, they might increase the life from 15 to 20 years. And so if you want to run it down to its grave, then, this could actually make sense for you. Because, so then that's where we're at. What was the figure again?
1075 is what we came up with. I think this person is at 12 lakhs. Yeah, 1190.
11,90,000 is what they are asking for. So bring it down by a lakh is what? A lakh 0.25, I think 10.75 is a good.
I think under 11, to be fair, is not a bad price.
So that's one car done. Not bad. Let's see if there are other cars. I'm going to try and, yes, now that you've understood how we're doing this, hopefully, what I've done is I've looked at Tata Tiagos in Delhi. There are a whole bunch of these Tata Tiagos, like a cheaper car. Let's look at how this model holds up there. There's also the Tigor, by the way.
Why are there so many cars from Tamil Nadu selling in Delhi?
That's an interesting point. I don't know. You're right. 1, 2. Yeah, they look different. Yeah, probably. 10 days old EV. I like his branding. It's like very clear. 10 days old. This is the same guy probably. Or this doesn't have a number plate only. But then why does it have, what is this going on here? Should we see this? Let's check it out. What is it saying? What demo car through a dealer?
Yeah. So a lot of these like second-hand car dealers I found take the stock from some of these dealerships and then sell it by themselves. There's this guy in Faridabad that always has excess stock of Tata cars, by the way, Tata and MG.
This car, by the way, is done because there's just one photo and we don't have enough information, so we're not going to cover this. Let's look at which one? This one. This one? Yeah, let's do this. Ace cars. Okay. 2023 Tata Tiago EV XZ Plus long range.
Yeah, let me find the X showroom in the background.
6,000 kilometers driven, which is quite good. 7,000 now. 7,000, 2023 variant, so about 2 years old. Accidental, no, first owner. All looks good. Hasn't driven much. Photos wise, let's quickly take a scan. Nothing alarming so far. But again, the dealer has really done a good job of decorating the car. Yeah, nothing major. Looks good from the photos at least. Worth paying a visit for. All right, so when this car was launched, Siddhant has found this link. It was
either 10.79 or 11.29 lakhs, depending on which charger they went for, which is a separate conversation.
I think it's 10.79.
Right, exactly. Let's go with that number.
Yeah, let's assume that because he would have definitely mentioned Tech Lux.
No, I mean, you get Tech Lux in both of them. So I'm talking about the charging option.
Charging. Has
Also,
he
I don't think the
mentioned in
charging option
listing?
is relevant because you'll anyway have to get a new charger installed. I don't think the charger can just be picked up. I'm sure it can, but then that's separate cost itself, right? So
Cool.
let's
So let's
go with the
assume-
safer option, and 10.79 lakhs is what we have.
The way we're going to break it down is the first same three things. Let's start
Yeah.
with the overall cost of the car. If 10 lakh 79,000. By the way, we need to add the registration insurance a little bit there. So this is Delhi registered. So 10 lakh 79,000 plus 5,000 rupees for that registration charge.
Plus insurance.
About 25,000 for insurance for this.
So 11 lakhs?
Yeah, I think 11 should be safe broadly.
Maybe slightly more because it's an EV. I don't know if EVs are
Make it
slightly more expensive to
11.1.
insure.
Yeah.
I made it 11.2 lakhs.
So let's now try and depreciate this car by the same logic that we use in the Tata Nexon. So the cost of the entire car on road price is 11 lakh 20,000 after insurance and that poultry registration.
Right.
We are going to assume a depreciation of first owner depreciation of 7.5% of this, not 10%, which we usually do for ICE engines, because over there we don't break it down. We don't break down depreciation. We're going to keep that depreciation at a slightly lower level here at 7.5%.
Right.
Next, let's depreciate the battery. The battery life is 8 years, 2 years of which are already gone, 6 years are left. That's 75%. So the battery cost that we have assumed here is 5 lakh rupees. 75% of 5 lakh rupees is 3 lakh 75,000. The depreciation is 1 lakh 25,000. So
Right.
the depreciation number 1 was 84,000. Depreciation number 2, which is the battery, is 1 lakh 25,000. Finally, we arrive at the depreciation of the remaining car, which is basically the shell, which is 11 lakh 20,000 minus the cost of the battery, 5 lakhs, which is the cost of the shell, which is 6 lakh 20,000. Here we assume a life of 15 years, which is basically the life of the car.
Right.
And the annual depreciation of that is 6.7%. 2 years are already gone, so that's about 13.5%. And the total depreciation on the shell is 82,600 odd, right? So if you add depreciation 1, depreciation 2, and depreciation 3, you arrive at a total figure of about 2,90,000 rupees that it should be depreciated by, which comes out to the current value. If you subtract 2.9 lakhs from 11.2 lakhs, you come to at around 8.2 lakhs in terms of the fair value of the car right now. 8.2, 8.3, I think that's a good ballpark to negotiate within. Let's go back to how much are they asking for? 8 lakhs, which is actually pretty compelling.
Are we being too lenient? And these were introductory prices, by the way, in September, because I know after introduction the prices went up marginally, but they did increase. So
Interesting. Yeah, okay. 8 lakhs, buy it. What else can I say?
Yeah.
Looks like it's a good one. But
Yeah.
for the sake of negotiating, negotiate. See
Yeah.
if you can bring it down to another 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 rupees.
yeah,
But then that goes on to show that
there are decent deals available probably. I mean, if you ask me, 8 lakhs on a newish car, how much has it done in terms of distance? It's practically new. I would just talk to a couple of people who actually have a Tiago EV just to make sure, like, there's no ownership issues with the car. They aren't seeing bad mileage in terms of the battery life or something. I don't know. I would try to talk to someone, and if everything checks out on that front, it's not a bad deal actually.
Okay, let's move to the next car. There is a Mahindra XUV400. Registration 2023 December. Make 2023, driven 14,000 kilometers. This is a EL 7.2 kilowatt. Let's see. Yeah, this is how much it was launched for. So EL 7.2 kilowatt is 19 lakh rupees.
So 19 lakh ex showroom would have been at most 20 on road. So let's just keep it a round number so our life is easier.
So let's see 20 lakhs on road. But again, how are we getting to the insurance for this? So let's take.
I mean, I saw the curve today. A curve today is like roughly 20x showroom, and the insurance for that on Acco is like 80,000 roughly.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, now gets the tricky part.
How much is the battery worth?
How much is the battery of this car? Look, my sense is this battery will not be very different from the Nexon EV battery from a cost standpoint. So I would assume a 7-8 lakh rupee battery here also.
Maybe slightly more because the range seems to be higher. I think the Nexon came with a 350 odd kilometer range, and this one claims to be a 456 kilometer range.
You're going to assume the cost of the battery at 8 lakh rupees.
Slightly more
Similar,
than the Nexon because it's a higher priced car.
yeah. And therefore the remaining cost of the shell is 12 lakh rupees. So again, going by the same logic that we've used in the previous one, let's see what value do we arrive at. Siddhant.
Okay, so given this is the first owner, first element of depreciation is 7.5% on the overall cost of the value, of overall cost of the car, which is 20 lakhs, 7.5%. So 1 lakh 50 just because it's a first owner becoming a second owner. That's depreciation one. So second element is depreciating the battery. Now 8 lakh worth of battery, 8 years of life. This car is a year and a half old. So 1.5 out of 8 years are gone, which gives us another lakh and a half of depreciation on just the battery. And then the third element, which is on the shell, the shell was worth 12 lakh rupees as per our calculations, a life of 15 years, 1.5 years are gone, which means 10% on that. So another 1 lakh 20 of depreciation. So if we total up the three, which is 1 lakh 50 for the ownership change, 1 lakh 50 on the battery, and 1 lakh 20 on the cost of the shell, we arrive at a 4 lakh 20,000 depreciation number on 20 lakhs, giving us a fair price of 15.8 lakhs.
15.8 lakhs.
We're coming too close to the actual asking price of these cars, which doesn't sound right.
The asking price is 15.5 lakh rupees. So there's something up. And I think what's happening here is, I'll tell you what is happening here is, and this is a hunch I had all along, is that at the end of the battery life, whether it's 8 years, whether you're able to run it for 9 years, 10 years, till basically your range becomes like really low, you will have to go out and shell out a sizable amount of money. It's like a impending expense, which is definitely inevitable expense, which is coming your way.
Right.
And I feel like we need to discount that in some way in the value of the car today. Look, as soon as the warranty goes away, we will have to change the battery at some point. And so therefore, let's take another approach. This is a bonus approach, folks. Like, let's see how this approach works. But what I'm going to do here is that let's price it like an ICE car. How we do in previous shop cars with us videos. Let's evaluate this EV car like an ICE car, which means cost of the new car is 20 lakh rupees. Age of the car is 1.5 years. Total life of the car is 15 years. So you reduce 10% value there. So that's about 2 lakh rupees of depreciation. You reduce another 7.5% of depreciation for the first owner. So that's 1.5 lakh rupees. So that's a total depreciation of 3.5 lakh rupees, like an ICE engine, which comes to 16 lakh 50,000 rupees.
Right.
Now, you take you subtract the present value of the value of the battery. What is the present value? What does present value mean? Let me read out the definition of present value for those of you who might be new to the concept. But present value
I'll try and explain it in simpler terms also. You will be spending 9 lakhs, or in this case, let's say 8 lakhs, 5 years, 6 years down the line.
Yeah.
But that is not worth 8 lakhs today. That's worth a smaller amount today because you can potentially earn money on that X amount. So we're trying to figure out what that X amount today is.
So it is the same concept as the time value of money. Time value of money is, you all know compounding well, right? This is the inverse of compounding, or rather the opposite of compounding, building on the same time value of money. That if you have to spend 9 lakh rupees or 8 lakh rupees in this case in our car, 6 years from now, assuming you can grow money at 10%, you need only 4 lakh 72,000 rupees today. You need 4 lakh 72,000 rupees today, and that is what you need to deduct from the value of the car. Do you get it? Is that complicated?
Makes a lot more sense to me, although now I feel we might become unreasonable buyers.
I think it's a range, right? Look, there's a range. These are all negotiation tactics. You obviously will not find somebody who will be like, okay, this is the exact amount that I'm going to sell it at. But I think you need to account for a expense that is coming your way, not too far ahead in the future. 6 years from now, you will have to spend 8 lakh rupees approximately on the battery of this car. The value of that 8 lakh rupees today with a 10% discount rate is 4 lakh 72,000 rupees. So we valued the car like an ICE engine, which was 16.5 lakh rupees. We deduct the present value of the battery, which is 4 lakh 72,000 rupees, and we arrive at 11 lakh 78,000 rupees as the value of the car today, which is another way of valuing it. So we have two ways of valuing it now. First way, which we did for the Tata Nexon and the Tiago and this XUV400. Second is this present value way, where we where we depreciate it like an ICE car, and then we subtract the present value of the car to arrive at 11 lakh 78,000. The answer lies somewhere in between. Depending on what your negotiation skills are and how much you can squeeze the maximum out of this. But two ways to think about it. Let us know in the comments what you think. Does this make sense? It's completely out of whack, but we've been trying to dabble our heads around this. And this is what we could come up with. Okay, I think we should end the episode today. We have covered 3 popular cars. We have covered 2 different types of valuation methods.
And I think what's important is we've thought of the variables, and now everyone can sort of take a view on how much importance or weightage they want to give to each of those variables. Some of those things will always be unknown till we actually come to the point. How long does the battery last? How long does it cost to change the battery? Is it an 8 lakh number? Is it a 2 lakh number? Is it a 20 lakh number? We don't know.
And as we know more, we'll probably do more episodes on EV going forward, right? With as our assumptions become more refined. So hope you find that helpful, by the way. Please
And in the
drop
comments,
a like.
by the way, if anyone has had to deal with a battery replacement, please let us know what that number was.
Yeah. So we'd love to hear from you and share this around, because this is like, we are also trying to test this out and see how this works. But we love your inputs and feedback on this. Okay, enough of valuation of cars. I feel like we're becoming car evaluators. Like, it's like how people value stocks. We are finding new discounted cash flow method of valuing a car. That's exactly what we've done, by the way.
Yeah, you did it for your BMW 360 plan.
For that, and now I've done this for this battery. I feel like I took the DCF class in ISB too seriously. Okay, coming back to our other two topics. MG Windsor. Let's on a lighter note. No more maths, guys. We're gonna discuss and romanticize cars now. MG Windsor. What are your thoughts?
My first thought, given how much complication we've dealt with in this episode, is thank you for taking out the math of battery. Itna cost karega and itna life hoga out of the picture.
Really?
It is not my problem. So let me
why
just
they've
deal
done
with the
it.
shell. Exactly.
And I see why they've done it. It's so cool, right? Like, you've taken out a big variable which is impacting the resale value and the uncertainty of ownership. You've taken that away. I hope Indian buyers see value in that.
I think they're seeing value in that because they sold some 3,000 units in the first month or first few months. It's insane.
It's amazing. They've really truly brought innovation to a otherwise stagnant pricing model, at least.
Correct.
So kudos to them. I'm sure they've picked it up from some other market. I'm sure other markets are doing this for a while.
But let's just hope the other manufacturers here also pick it up now.
They will. If this does well, it's like, for example, if Maruti started making safer cars, I mean, who would have thought? So I'm sure this will also come around it. So I personally, again, one of my other neighbors, benefits of living in a society, has an MG Windsor, and I pass that every morning.
Yeah.
It looks beautiful. I love the seats are like sofas.
Okay, seats are like sofas, but design.
I'm okay. I'm all right. I see
For
these,
instance,
all these
small things, okay? Like if you notice the headlamps ke niche, the front where you would typically have fog lamps, I thought even a reflector, one of those old light kind of panels would have been fine. It's actually a silver plate. And it really bothered me. Because over time that will scuff up. It will not work as a reflective panel again. Like, why? You're selling a car. You don't need to have a silver reflective panel on. No, just no.
Look, that's the smile of the car.
I do not want a smiling car. The ETOs tried to do that for a long time, and I think it failed spectacularly. But not as a car, but as a smile element.
But yeah, I am generally a fan of the car. I think I haven't driven it. I'm not sure, but I'm sure it's an EV. It'll be a really quick one to drive. I think the other good part is the pricing is very compelling. At 9.99 lakhs is what they introduced it as, with all those service battery packs and all that. But I think as a shell of the car, for like so much luxury and so much opulence on display, I think it's a good car.
Even with everything, I think it goes up to about 16 or 17, which is not outrageous if you ask me.
Yeah, I agree. It looks like a car which could command that kind of a price. So I'm happy with it, the way it looks.
Speaking of cars and how you should price them, the other competitive head.
Let's jump to our friends at Mahindra. So I have a story on Mahindra. Okay, I went to ISB for my 10-year reunion and I met somebody from my batch who's at Mahindra marketing and fairly senior up, leading something, right? And I was chatting with him on how marketing at Mahindra works. And my hypothesis going into this discussion was that it's like, how typical FMCG companies are there who are marketing driven, where marketing is the hero function of the company. My hypothesis was that in Mahindra also marketing is the hero function, where marketing understands the consumer, brings the consumer insight, defines the product roadmap, helps develop the product, and then finally the product, it takes it to market, right? So they have a very clear marketing structure. They have 5 marketing verticals. One is the XUV series. So XUV 700, 400, 3XO and so on. Second is the Thar and Thar Rocks. That's a separate marketing team. Third is your Scorpio, Bolero, all of that.
Although now that you say it out loud, it makes sense that these are completely separate, because I cannot imagine the same team coming up with 3XO, coming up with Thar Rocks, coming up with Scorpio N. Just it matters. There's some consistency to the brand.
They kill it though with the names, right? Like Thar Rocks sounds obnoxious to us, but like look at their consumer, they love it. Right? So they know the consumer well. They know who they are making these cars for, and they do it really well. They know the pricing well. They know the exact features that a particular line of cars needs to have. So they've really cracked the game at that, and you got to give it to them.
And I'm guessing one of the series might be the XEVs and the
Exactly. One such series, which is still being like one such marketing function, which is still being hired and developed, which is going to roll up into the same leadership, is on your BE6s and all of that. So, long story short, they have a very robust marketing function with separate owners of each of these brands, and you can see they're doing a great job. Having said that, let's come to our personal opinion on the BE6s and so on. Tell me.
Let's start with the pricing. I think again, I launched it. I think 26 odd lakhs for one and 30 lakhs for the other.
No, no, no. The BE6 range between 18.9 lakhs and 26.9 lakhs. So it's a really complex naming. XUV9E is priced at from 21.9 to 30.5 lakh ex showroom. Okay.
So starting 20 odd roughly for both of them, right?
Yeah.
Your entry level into a segment that you were claiming to be mass, I think it's a little overpriced. I don't think you'll see mass adoption like you saw with the Tata range here. Maybe
Also-
they're not going after that segment, maybe. But if then you're competing with the BYD Seals or the entry level of the XC40 and you're trying to be a better product than that, sure. But I don't think that consumer is going to come down to a Mahindra. And for a average Indian consumer who's looking to try out EVs for the first time, I think it's too high a price point. But that's my view.
Also, I'm sorry, but I agree with you. Firstly, I agree.
Yeah.
When somebody asked me this in the comments, like somebody messaged me that what is your point of view in this? I was like, I don't have a point of view. I don't care about
It's
these
neither
cars,
here
about
nor
this
there.
brand.
You've lost
It
both
is-
sides.
it is irrelevant to me. Also, the marketing gimmick of like they're comparing it with the Urus and all of that. I didn't know that was a marketing gimmick. I found it and I was like, what are you guys thinking? You're basically pulling your brand down by comparing it to somebody else, right?
Yeah.
But maybe that audience cares about. So I'm definitely not that audience.
Yeah.
People in this channel might be, might not be. I don't know. I'd love to hear from you. But I'm not that audience. I do not relate to these cars at all. I don't get them. They don't
Yeah.
excite me. I don't aspire to own them ever. You give me 30 lakh rupees for free to get this, I still won't get it. It'll be a waste of space in my garage.
Going on, I thought the XUV400 was over designed. Where did you not stop? Like, just can any element I think it's very Cybertruck inspired in that way.
Too much.
I wasn't a big fan of how the Cybertruck looked personally. Just like some elements should come back to this being a car. Sure, it's a futuristic car and it's what the future of mobility might look like. But can we not baby steps, but can we like gradually get there instead of just like being warped into that future? That's what it feels like to me.
Oh, also, sorry, last comment before we end this video. We
Yeah,
forget this is a Mahindra. What that means is that all of those electricals you see inside and all of that jazz that they're selling you is not going to work.
Or
It is going
hasn't
to
been the case so
malfunction.
far. Right.
It's going to malfunction. So good luck with your 30 lakh rupee B6 or like whatever XCV9E that they call it, because this metal
Yeah,
piece of metal is going to be exactly that. It is not half of those technicals and electricals are going to malfunction.
Right.
With the first edition of the XUV700, we all know how that went. Even now there are issues. Okay,
Yeah.
that was a very
So-
passionate discussion on
So the
Mahindra.
analyst view or recommendation on this would be hold. It's a hold.
Hold? No. Underperform. Underweight.
Yeah.
Okay, that was Mahindra. We spoke about Windsor and talking about design. Last thing is the Tesla. I love it. I think it's such a
I did
stunning,
not think they could do it
beautiful-
any better, and they've done it.
I actually no, I disagree there. I feel like the previous Model Y started to feel a little dated.
No, it was feeling dated. My point is like, for the point at which it was launched, I thought it was a great looking car, and I was like, okay, even if it doesn't go any further in that direction, it's at least a good looking car. Like, for example, Aston Martin's in my head. I don't think you can design them any better. They're just beautiful looking cars. But if you do one better, kudos to you. So that's how I feel about the Model Y as well.
I think Model Y giving me all the vibes. I would love to own it. It's beautiful. It's sleek.
Sapne
It's
chhod do Pranay.
simple.
Yahan pe nahi aa rahi.
Hey, Elon keeps mentioning here and there that,
He's been toying with our emotions for the longest time.
but it is a beautiful car. So yeah,
Right.
I love it. That's a good lesson in design evolution on how it goes from already being
Simplicity.
a popular car to like taking it to the next level. So I'm excited.
Right.
Let's hope Tesla does well. I own the stock.
And you know what's interesting is, given it's from the same house that also brought you the Cybertruck, I'm guessing there's a lesson to be learned in terms of how to walk the rope in a fine
Mahindra does
manner.
that well, I think. Look, they also have the traditional Scorpios, and you
Yeah.
have a Thar Rock.
The Scorpio
but, like,
N
this is went
was,
rogue
in
here.
terms of design, I was just like, oh my
Yeah.
god, this looks so much better than the regular Scorpio. Like I see the
I
step
agree.
up, it feels premium, all of that good stuff.
So they know how to do it. They know how to do it. I just don't think they've done it with this EV range that they've recently launched. So I think they'll
थोड़ी
get
रोग
there.
चले गए.
They'll get there. They'll get there. So that was a long episode. We discussed a lot. We gave you a lot. We gave you. Hopefully you like it. Please, if like, just put a like, comment, just like, so that I know that this worked and you liked it. But I think we gave you a few ways to model and financially like value EV car as you think about it. We gave you our opinion on the newly launched EVs. We gave you our opinion on the Tesla. Whether you agree or disagree, let us know. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy this. Share it with your friends, share it with other EV buyers. We'd love to hear from you on how your experience has been on EV ownership, on battery issues, on range going down. We've only listened to Blue Smart drivers so far, but we'd love for you to share your opinion with us. With that, thank you and see you in the next one. Thank you, Siddhant.
Thank you.